Okay.
Okay, here we are once again, and we are looking at the trilogy. We're wrapping up. What is it, section 5 we're wrapping up?
Yep.
And this week we're discussing 3 chapters. Chapters 85, 86, and 87. The last 3 chapters of section 5. Yeah, let's set the intention before we take a look at the intention is just to come together and hold collective space filled with compassion and acceptance for one another. So we really seek to understand each other and to gain fresh new perspectives on this material and to really broaden our understanding of the nature of reality. So we'll listen with the ears of love and we'll share with the voice of compassion. Who would like to start? Daniel, what did you think?
I think it was a good 3 chapters. A lot of repetition again, but he had a little more depth behind, what he knows.
Yeah.
So no, it was good.
Cool. Awesome. Nadine, what about you?
Oh, I enjoy them way, way more than the few chapters before that. So I was grateful because I really enjoy them. And I got the feeling that he was really telling us what my big toe is all about. He was starting to really put it together for us. And I had the distinct impression that as I was saying, oh, I'm getting this, it was fleeting. So I think I'm starting to kind of understand it, but not really. So that's my impression, that he's telling us what it is all about, but I'm not there yet. It seems that I am kind of circling I had the impression of I'm still on the outside here, not getting the depths of what it's all about, but I'm getting closer. Anyway, but I enjoy them very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. What about you, Christine?
I loved them. I thought they were really good. I was laughing a lot and underlined a lot of stuff. So I really thought it was a good couple of chapters. It was good.
Nice. And Mao, did you get a chance to read them? I know you weren't.
No, I'm still behind you guys. I was able to make it to the middle of chapter 82.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm having a little trouble in that chapter, but that's okay, guys. Go ahead. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, you're now going to be reading what we just went through, and it gets really technical. The part that you're going to be looking at, it gets really difficult and challenging. But then after that, it's smooth sailing. These 3 chapters that we looked at, I loved them. Same with Christine. I was laughing, and I was underlining everything. It was.
It's funny, but the technical part up to chapter 81. Ironically, that was not the difficult part for me, because I've been in information technologies. I'm an engineer in electronics. So everything seems very, very logical, and it was not a problem. But when he goes out of that very technical part, that's when I start struggling a little bit. But I'm getting closer to you guys, so. Probably next week I can catch up with you. I don't know.
Great, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where were you when we needed you, when we were struggling through?
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's jump in. Anything on the first page there?
I had the 3rd sentence of the first paragraph highlighted. Transmission time and variations in signal-to-noise ratio are likewise not noticeably affected by perceived separation between the sender and the receiver, even if each is different in different PMRs or in different NPMRs. And I made a note there, and I said that, how can we use this rule set and enhance our communication methods? Like we're unaware of how all this works, right? But if what could be possible, we understand how that works and how we can communicate with other sentient beings way off in other galaxies or universes or what have you, or other reality frames. And maybe it would open up so much for us, right? On the consciousness side.
Yeah, that would, absolutely. Because right now we just do it kind of mind to mind, but you're talking about like building something like through technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Like how can we use it to our advantage to improve could be the way of our living or way of understanding things, and is there a higher advanced technology out there that we're not aware of? How if we're able to communicate with them, how do we bring it to Earth?
Is that what they're trying to do with like quantum computers?
I think quantum computers operates much faster, so it calculates scenarios or problems much faster. It calculates solutions a lot faster.
I see. Okay, what do you think, Mal? You're a tech guy.
Yeah, I agree with Daniel. Yeah, well, quantum computers, exactly. They can solve certain kind of problems, not all the problems, faster than the classical computer. And yes, as for example, the guys at D-Wave, which is one of the main companies doing
they're from Vancouver
computers. Yeah,
oh, yeah,
they are Canadian, and yeah, it's very impressive. Microsoft is doing as well some quantum computing, and IBM and others. But yes, these guys, the founders from D-Wave, they say that actually we are accessing parallel universes each time we make a quantum calculation, and physically, yeah, that's correct. I honestly don't know really the relationship with these quantum calculations. What is the relationship with the parallel universes or possible futures that Tom described? Or I honestly don't know, but we are not at the point that we could use that for communications with like other beings, like we were talking about. But who knows? Probably in the future that could be a venue to communicate with some other beings. We are really in the first stages of calculating in quantum states, really. And it would be very, very interesting to know how they relate with the other possible futures or the other possible state vectors that Tom's mentioned, if they are related or not. That would be very interesting.
So this is my thought, is that do we even need technology to do that? Like we don't really need technology, right? Because we can just communicate with other beings through our intent. So if technology came into play, that would, to me, I'm thinking it would be just using the placebo effect. It's like, oh, here's this technology, like then people would believe that this technology would allow them to communicate with other sentient beings in different dimensions. So because they believe in it, that creates that strong focused intent, and then therefore they're able to do it. But I don't know.
We need something tangible to, if we say we can all communicate without the need of technology, people will be looking at it more like the psi effect, right? The psi factor, where it's way out there, right? Whereas if we use technology as a stepping stone to get to that level, it makes it easier for everyone to accept it.
Right.
Yeah. I was thinking about that when I was reading those chapters, and it sounded like maybe an idea out there, but that's exactly the idea. If there are some technology to help us in that transition, and eventually maybe as human being, our evolution will allow us that hi sweetie, will allow us to use our intent without being it so hard right now, for most of us anyways. I don't know if our brain and our physiology is able. I mean, not tomorrow, but start with technology, and then be able that it will be easier, and more people will be able to do it, and it's not like a struggle right now to try to use our own mind or whatever or our own intent. So I don't know, but that's something I was kind of thinking about, because evolution is also on all levels, right? And it doesn't mean that we're not gonna get there as a human species, I mean.
Yeah. Well,
And
probably
it would be easier to become mainstream, right? For us to communicate with other, dimension, and for everybody to be doing it, and it's part of like now we communicate with people in another country. But I don't know if I mean, that will take a little while. But and I agree that you need a tool to get us there slowly, and technology will be the first. But when you think about it, like before, everybody lived in their own little community and didn't know what was happening, even in the country next door. And now it's the whole world, right, that we can be part of. And I think the next thing will be, parallel and dimension, and sounds like, it's the next step.
Yeah, the next step. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Gotta be.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But it's not going to happen, when it's so hard for us to do it now, and we have to use tools that do not work necessarily well. Right? Like the internet opened up for us a whole new dimension. So it's the same thing, I guess, that needs to happen.
So it's all about evolution, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Probably they are not mutually exclusive. The fact to communicate with other beings with our intention and through technology, probably they are not mutually exclusive. Although I tend to think that yeah, according to what we are studying, the real thing is with the intention. I tend to think that yeah, the technology could, as Daniel was saying, maybe some people will get convinced because physically or in this virtual reality they can communicate with others through quantum or whatever. But the real thing should be intention and how we communicate in NPMR more than in PMR. Although they could not be exclusive, probably one day we can do both. Or I don't know, something.
Yeah. Makes sense, guys. Yeah. Did you guys have anything else from the first or the second page? It's funny because he is talking about here time travel and teleportation, and that's like what we're discussing.
I have 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph, just the one before the last one. He says in the middle of the paragraph, teleportation is only a matter of switching your consciousness to a different energy packet exchange interface after establishing the appropriate data links, right? So it's and before that he said it's not that you have to take your body with you, right? So that is really, I think, what he's talking about. But how to do that, right, with the data links, and that's that's the challenge, right?
And that's what I said to him too. I remember asking him, like Okay, Tom, I've been practicing this for a couple years, and it seems to be as simple as just focusing my intent, having the intent to switch data streams. I'm collecting this data stream right now that I interpret as this VR,
Mm-hmm.
and now I want to switch to a different data stream and get a data stream where I can interpret maybe a different VR in either NPMR or PMR. And I know it's that simple, but like, I got nothing. I'm like, what's going on?
You know what? When you say that, I think it's your perception, right? It's easy because he's done it so many times. It's easy for him.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, we're still learning. We're still practicing and trying to figure out how all this works.
Yeah. And that's what he said too. He's like, it's because you have this huge expectation that something like magical is going to happen. And that expectation is blocking you from experiencing
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Well, for me, like when he says after establishing the appropriate data links, so how do you do that? Like in a more reality-based manner, like how do you establish that link? Because that's what we're talking about, right?
Using intentions.
So
right?
is it the technology that is not there yet? Is
No.
what is it, or is it our mind that is not trained to do it? Or what is it?
Yeah, I think it's what you said there, the latter. It's that our mind is not trained to go there yet. We haven't, I mean, I don't want to say we haven't created that neural pathway, but it's not even that. It's like going beyond that, right? It's letting go of the brain, letting go of the physical body, letting go of anything here in this VR and being open to experiencing a new reality.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of practice. And for myself, just speaking for myself, is I'm impatient. And I don't want to put in the time that's required. Instead, I'd rather go and do ayahuasca. Take a shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to tell us what your experience was with that ayahuasca.
Yeah, definitely experienced. My first intention for the first night was I wanted to go and experience different reality frames. I'm like, all these things that we've been practicing, I want it now. Like, I want to have the experience. I need the experience.
Was that the ego there talking?
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, I didn't even really have that come up until I got there, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want. And the first night, because it's 2 nights, a lot of them are like 5 nights, right? But with this one, the first night was I was open to receiving, and what came to me was all my fear. So all my fears, anytime I'd ever made a judgment, anytime I had been a bad parent, or been hard on my friends or taking people for granted, it was like this kind of a preview, like a movie trailer of Vanessa's mistakes. Yeah, and just for me to kind of observe it and watch it. And the interesting thing is, I'm normally really hard on myself. And if that had happened maybe 5 years ago, I probably would have been like in the fetal position crying and being like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. Oh my God, see all the things I do wrong. But I think I've grown to the point where this time I just was like, yeah, I did do that. I did do that. And I was just accepting it and owning it and not trying to justify it or anything, but just like kind of witnessing it. And then after the first night, I told my friend that I went with, I said, okay, I'm ready to go now. I packed up all my stuff, and I'm like, I'm ready to go home and apply everything I've learned. And then before I left, we all had a sharing circle. And in the sharing circle, it opened me up to hear everyone else's perspective, everybody else's experience. And it really made me see this bigger picture, like we always talk about, but I experienced it in a different setting. And after that sharing circle, I was like, oh, I'm definitely staying. I want to go. I want to experience more with everybody here, with the community. And I had a beautiful experience the next night. I was shown these alternate dimensions, different realities. And I remember seeing it, and it was very geometrical, and feeling like, and saying like, oh, there's got to be more, but more is there? And what came to me was, what more do you want? Like, this is what you wanted and now you want more. So that helped me to just learn to be more appreciative of what's given to me right in front of me all the time, to appreciate that.
Nice.
Okay. Did it feel more real than than this reality, or the same?
I guess it did feel more real. That's interesting. I haven't asked myself that since then.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It felt more substantial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Vanessa, where do you go for that? Is it in Canada or the States?
You have to go to the Amazon, and I'm not allowed to say anymore. Okay,
The Amazon?
It's kind of secretive, isn't it? It's a secretive location. You can't divulge that information.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but I don't want to, but let's get back to the book here. Do you guys have anything else from that, from the time travel and teleportation? On the second page there?
Well, I remember when Nadine was talking about, you don't have to take your PMR body. I was thinking, well, it's just dead weight that you're taking if you tend to take it with you. There's no advantage of taking your body with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he's talking about that just at the beginning of the following page. Thus, the idea of dragging a physical body to another reality makes no sense. There is no physical body except in your mind, right? Yeah. So that's it's much easier and more practical to manifest an additional body appropriate to the place visited. Possessing multiple bodies in multiple reality is not a problem. For me, it is. But I mean, I love the idea, but I'm not. I definitely more. And then at the beginning of the third paragraph of the same page, it was like mind-boggling. Teleporting your awareness, non-physical body, is less complicated because the objective physical experience connection to the space-time rule set, which is your physical body, is left behind undisturbed. The mind is free to go, be aware, experience anything, anywhere on the big picture reality net. Wow. Many PMR residents do not comprehend this. That is me. Consequently, they never go anywhere. They simply stay home and babysit their bodies. I was laughing the way he said it. Yeah. But I mean, he makes it seem so easy that I have never experienced it. So for me, it's hard.
It's easy for him because he's experienced it.
Yeah.
He knows and he has done it, but we've not done it yet. And that's why we think it's so hard.
Yeah, but it seems amazing, right? If you
can. Well, imagine when we can switch over and experience it.
Yeah.
How wonderful that will be.
Yes, how wonderful that will be.
And then we can have that meeting in a different reality with different bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, remember Tom's told us these stories, right, Vanessa?
Yeah, he has. And you know what? I see why he doesn't share them. Because you are left with either believing him or not. And even when I hear other people share their stories, I'm always like, you probably just made that up. Like, I'm very skeptical. The only person I'm not skeptical of is Tom. I don't know why.
Right. Yeah. And I love how he talks about, having an open mind and being skeptical of it. And the only way to really test it is to explore it yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. You have to have the experience yourself. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, what came to me too the first night was this was kind of because it basically it shot me out of my mind, and like I can see how people can go crazy on that because completely lose touch with this reality, and there's no I didn't have any bearings, and like I could at times felt like I was going freaking crazy. There's no sense of time, there's no sense of anything. And I remember I kept coming back to MBT, and I kept saying like, no, but Tom Campbell's theory, and I'm like, and then I'd have like these other entities in my life, and they would be like, who is this Tom Campbell guy anyway? You probably just made him up. And I was like, no, he's coming here. And they're like, what's theory of his? I'm like, MBT. And I'm like, there's other realities, there's other dimensions. They're like, sure, he probably made that up. And I'm like, no, he explores them. And they're like, and only he can do it. Well, has anybody else done it? And I'm like, well, I think so. Yeah. But for me, what it was is that it didn't matter if anybody else could resonate with it or believe it. It didn't want them to, but it was a map for me. It helped ground me because otherwise I would have friggin' lost my mind. But there was kind of this map that I could keep going back to. And this would kind of give me that sense of how to navigate my world, my inner world. Because it was crazy in there, man.
When you were in that phase, did you feel like you were in fear, or did you feel like you're free?
The first night, I was more or less witnessing the fear. Mm-hmm. Thank God for that. And then the second night, it felt free. The second night was like, I don't know, like I was rewarded or something, but it was like just blissful, unbelievable. I can't even explain. Taryn was with me, like my good friend of mine, so she also experienced it as well. Like it was nice to have that shared experience.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But everybody, like I said, everybody had such different experiences. A lot of people were faced with their demons and dark energy and like crying and vomiting and getting sick and all this, right? I didn't experience any of that, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good.
Sorry, I kept bringing it back. Yeah, but that's good, Nadine. I had that part underlined too. The very second to last paragraph on page 729, where you left off, many PMR residents do not comprehend this. Consequently, they never go anywhere. They simply stay at home and babysit their bodies. They have no idea there is a wholly new and magnificent reality out there to explore, or how important it is to the success of their mission, or for that matter, that there even is a purpose or mission to their life. Yeah. They have their you-know-what stuck in a belief trap. Yeah. I think that's it doesn't really matter if we explore alternate realities or dimensions. I think as long as we understand that we have a mission, that there's a purpose for us there's a purpose for existence, that's what's really important, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one guy who the first night he had these experiences where he was traveling into these alternate dimensions. And afterwards I spoke with him and I'm like, you got the experience that I wanted. And he was like, I know, and I didn't even ask for it. I'm like, yeah. But he's like, but you know what? He had a really big epiphany for him personally about being a know-it-all and all this. And he said, even if I didn't have that experience, walking away with this new awareness that I have is what really matters. And it doesn't matter how I got it, but it's that new awareness I have in my being level that is so profound. But it doesn't matter. Like the experience is what led him to it, but you don't need that particular experience to get that epiphany. You know, some people get it sitting in a church praying. Some people get it on a mountaintop. You know, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's what that's the magic phrase there. Everyone's different and everyone experiences, you know, what it can be like in different, depending on their state, their consciousness state, and who they are, what they are.
Yeah, you know, yesterday at the meetup, there was this couple, and the lady, she's an American, and you know, maybe Daniel, you know that, but I've never heard of that. She said that she was an emotional processing coach. And
I've heard of that.
Have you heard of that?
No,
I have
never.
never heard of it. I don't know, maybe it's in the States. But so the way she was bringing stuff up, I knew before she said that she must be, you know, a counselor or something. And then while she was talking, she was mentioning how she works with her client. And, you know, it's related to what we were talking about, how everybody gets there in a different way. And for her, what she does with them is process their emotion, I guess, from childhood. And basically, I don't know how she does it. I mean, probably that's her job, but she kind of put them face to face with their inner child, and then I don't know, their emotion and stuff, and that's the way she works with them and get them to, I guess, get out and find stuff. So that's another way, and I've never heard of it about it before. So everybody gets their own way, and people who are kind of attracted to that kind and processing their emotion that way. So it was interesting what she was bringing up, for sure. It was the first time I heard of that type of coaching.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I do coach a lot of my clients based on their childhood memories, because it's their childhood memories that's really created who you are right now. And within that, you've got your fears that are built from your childhood days, right? So a lot of people suppress that.
Yeah, a lot of us do, for sure. Or have selective memory and don't even, it's not. Yeah. Have you guys heard of nasal grazing, belly button grazing, or no, belly button gazing?
No.
No, that's another one, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's just a term. And I remember at the sharing circle the last night when we were at the ayahuasca ceremony, the one shaman, she had said something where she used that term. She said, she's like, yeah, you know, so many people are just belly button gazing. And then she kept going on. And me and Taryn looked at each other like, belly button gazing? What's that? Anyway, so then just didn't think anything about it. And then when I was reading this, I think it's like the last chapter, Tom being very facetious, and he makes a joke about, you know, I don't know, he's like, you can tell when your friends ask you what this book is all about, you can tell them that what you realized is in meditation, it's much easier to see your big toe than it is to see your belly button or your navel, right? And then I was like, and he's like, because so often people, all they do is they stare at their navel. And I was like, wait a minute, like navel gazing. And then I Googled it and I looked it up. And so navel gazing is a term that's used to basically identify or talk about people who spend too much time thinking about themselves, not in that like egotistic sense, but thinking about their thoughts and their feelings and trying to analyze it. And that's interesting because I think we all do that because it is helpful. We want to understand ourselves. But then there's that fine line. It's like, when do we spend too much time there?
So you're saying these are the people that just think about themselves, just thinking about who they are, what they are, and just keep going in a circle?
Yeah.
But they don't go anywhere. They're stuck.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I think we all do it to some extent. Like, I know I definitely do it. I do it a lot because I feel like it's helpful to understand myself. I want to understand myself. But then
moderations, right? Everything you do, you should do it in moderations.
Don't get stuck or obsessed over it, right?
Yeah. And then, there's kind of that like delicate dance or that balance between understanding yourself, taking ownership for it, and then moving forward and helping others and seeing this big world that we're a part of, you know?
Yeah.
So wanted to share that. But back to the book. Anything else, or are we moving on to the next page, 730?
Okay, are we on 730?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of things underlined, but I think in general, I did have a question. So the very second paragraph down, there's a sentence that says, as long as there is a unique destination, URL, or address, basically you can get there, you mail your energy or consciousness by intent. And the last paragraph in the very middle, it says, if intent is not clear and informed about how to specify the uniqueness of an address, those parts of the address that are not sufficiently specific are often filled in with random selections, basically. So here was my question. Do you remember, I think, Vanessa, at TMI, isn't one of the women, one of the people who is very involved, she's like the daughter of Robert Monroe. Her husband is a very well-known remote viewer.
Okay, yeah.
You see that? Was he there? Did you do like a presentation?
Was he there? No, he wasn't there.
Okay. So the first time I was there, he actually did like a talk at nighttime, right? So I think what my question is like, how does that really work with remote viewing, right? Because they don't know, how do you focus your intent if you don't know what the target is?
You know the address. You know
You
the
do.
location. In this envelope, there's something in here. I want you to remote view and tell me
So
what it is.
the envelope is the address?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense.
Because it's the entity there. You're looking at it as a specific thing, right?
Uh-huh. Okay, that makes sense.
I like how it talks about the unique ID, where he says, I think you have to be very specific because you could go into a different unactualized address, right? I think he said it here, or was it somewhere else he said talked about it? But you've got to really focus on and be really specific as to the what the address is.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another thing you have to learn is how do you focus on the specific address? Are we sometimes when we're creating intent, are we not defining it properly?
Yeah, especially when you've never been there. It's like, right? You've never been there. You want to explore new places, but we don't have the address because we've never been there.
Yeah, and how do you know if you've gone to a different alternate reality, but it looks similar? You know what I mean?
Right.
You think that you're in the right location, and all of a sudden, and you come back with answers, let's say, and all of a sudden it's like, that's not what I wanted. And you realize, if you can realize that down the road, that you went to a different address. It looks similar, but it's not quite the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So how do we confirm that that is the right address? I guess practice.
Yeah, practice. Yeah, lots of practice. Okay, what about anything else on that page? The next page over on page 731 at the very top. Do you guys have that? Maybe?
The first paragraph?
Yeah, the first paragraph.
But does it start? I don't know where you are, guys, because I'm in another book. Does it start given the numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm right there.
Yeah, I have that highlighted as well.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why. You want to read it?
Sure. It says, given the number of multiple realities and given that similar reality branches could...
Wait, read it slow.
Sorry. Sorry, I'll read it slower.
Okay.
Given the numbers of multiple realities and given that similar reality branches could be almost identical in certain areas, it is easy to understand that getting the right address becomes more and more difficult the farther you stray from home. This is and has always been a common problem for all explorers. And we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
From Christopher Columbus to Lewis and Clark to Captain Kirk, the solution: carefully and continually turn very small parts of what is unknown into what is known. It is a slow, time-consuming process, and an NPMR must be accomplished by each explorer by and for himself. So practice, basically.
Yeah.
But do it slowly.
Yeah. That's true on so many levels, right? Like turn what is unknown into what is known. Like that's how we learn. That's how we grow. First, like today, I don't know how to, or my daughter today, she doesn't know how to ride a bike. You know, in a year from now, she'll know how to ride a bike. That
It becomes
unknown.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. and then how to drive a car. Right now, that's unknown, but pretty soon it'll be known, right? You just keep growing and learning, and that's us exploring other realities and in the larger consciousness system. Right now, it's unknown, but soon it will be known, and it'll become easy accessing it. The next paragraph, Successful travelers understand the importance of a clear address, the need to suspend the noisy ego, and the necessity for many hours of developmental experience to guide the way.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah, and then even the next paragraph down towards the end there. Your intent must be unique, steady, clear, and complete. Anything else may well invoke that old computer programming truism. Garbage in, garbage out. Awareness of the potential difficulties and plenty of carefully evaluated experience are the only remedies. Again, coming back to the intent, how important it is to have that clear, focused intent, right? You have a garbled intent, you'll get a garbled experience. Okay, so the next page. Anything there? So I only had one, I guess, for the second to last paragraph in this chapter, the very last sentence. He says, unfortunately, we cannot imagine, what we cannot imagine becomes impossible to accomplish.
That's exactly the only sentence that I have too. That is weird. What we cannot imagine becomes impossible to accomplish. That is true, right?
Where was that? Sorry.
It's the second to last paragraph of this chapter, and the very last sentence. Unfortunately, what we cannot imagine becomes impossible to accomplish.
Right. Okay.
Any thoughts on that?
But I think that summarizes the way I feel right now. Is I don't mind the practice, but I don't even know where to start. That's, I guess I can't imagine what is the practice. Like, you know, it's that simple. So that's how I feel right now. It just kind of wrap it up here, summarize it for me.
It also kind of emphasizes the importance of using your imagination, right, as a tool. And I think sometimes we underestimate it, like our imagination or daydreaming, as either as sort of like not important or a waste of time, right? And I think it can actually, it sounds like it's actually it can be a useful tool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I mean, aren't we just making this all up anyway? Aren't we each making up our own reality?
Yeah.
Really? Like, this is, my reality is based on how I made it. I created it, right? Everybody does that. Everybody has their own reality that they make up.
Yep.
I liked that topic that you did with Conscious Connections, Daniel. If we're making it up, well, let's make it up good or something.
Yeah, exactly. Let's live it the best we can, right?
Yeah.
Without hurting people.
Did you have a good response from when you did it?
Yeah, I did. It was a really good meetup. We we talked about, you know, how we make things up, and you know, if we're living it authentically and just having fun doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can do it. You can do it if you're faking it. You can do it so that you're not having a lot of fun. You just do a little bit. But if you go out there and fake it and just pretend that you know, almost to the point where you let your ego create what you want, and it seems so much fun. But as long as you don't hurt people, I think is the key. Right.
Yeah. And didn't Einstein say something like imagination is everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It all comes back to our imagination, having that ability to. Our imagination allows us to be creative, right?
Well, if you look at it, how things are invented, right? You know, someone would say, you know, like the Morse code, right? So you'd have the telegraph, the Morse code, and then someone probably thought it would be great to send voice over it, over wires, the telephone, right? And then someone said, it would be great if we could speak without the wires, right? Cell phones.
And other people are like, oh, you're crazy. You can't do that. No.
Yeah. And, you know, the cell phone was invented, and then you say, well, it wouldn't be great if we could send pictures over the cell phone, right?
Yeah.
It would have been great if we can, you know, have internet access on this, you know, over our phones, smartphones, right? What's next, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Same with like Thomas Edison and creating electricity. Same with the Wright brothers. Like it's all starts in imagination.
Exactly. And then people who are doubting them, right? I'm gonna create a machine that flies. People thought, you're crazy. We're not built to fly, right? Who says that we can't fly? I mean, yes, we need another tool to help us fly, but it's possible now. And try to explain it to someone, you know, 200, 300 years ago that, you know, we can create something that where you can sit in it and fly all over the world. So they're going to look at you if you're kind of strange. Maybe you could, they might be able to send you to for death for that, for punishing you and saying you did to death for that, right? Right. Look at you know, when people thought the Earth was flat. If you thought that the Earth was round, you'd probably die from that. Sentence you to death. But what happened when they did prove that it was round? Right?
And that took a while. It took a while for people to get on board with that idea.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
But what happened to the people who thought that the Earth was flat and all of a sudden were proved wrong? Right? How did they feel about it? Oh, what about all the people that we sentenced to death or that? Oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah.
They feel for that.
Yeah. You know, apparently in China, they are, I mean, it's not functional yet, but they're building those drones that can take up to 2 people. So, you know, it would be neat because then it's for traveling. I mean, instead of a car and for traffic, so people like will take their drone to go to work. And that's, you know, quite neat. But then, you know, that's the creation part. And then they have to have highway in the sky. That's basically what's going to happen next. So somebody kind of invented that, right? But apparently they're doing, like now it's at the experimental stage. It's not, but I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah, Elon Musk said it's more likely we'll go underground than in the sky.
Than in the sky. Well, who knows? I mean, they're working on different...
Because he said, imagine if, like, you know, you have cars flying in the sky and then a hubcap falls off and, like, decapitates someone. Like, it would be much better if they went underground with it.
Underground, yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure other people would have...
They're working on it.
Have this, you know, talk about the negatives of driving around underground as well, right?
Yeah. I don't like the underground. You know, when I was living in Montreal, there were a lot of stuff underground because of the weather and the cold. So you know, don't go outside. Metro is underneath. You go to the shopping mall, you go to work, everything is underground.
Right.
And, you know, after a while, you don't see outside. It's not... I mean, I guess you do it, you have no choice, but they have a whole city underground. But I don't know if that's basically a solution. I don't know.
Yeah, the solution is for us to be imaginative and come up with more solutions.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like the drone thing because I think this is great.
Yeah.
To fly. Anyways.
Okay, so what about chapter 85, ramifications of fractal-like patterns of reality? Do you guys have anything on the first page?
I had the last paragraph highlighted. The fundamental process is as follows. It starts from any point of existence or being, spreads out its potentially into all the availability possibilities open to its existence, eventually populating only the states that can maintain significant probability while letting the others go. The successful states are progressed to their logical conclusions by iterating the fundamental process. Additionally, new or intermediate states can generate new states. States that no longer hold potential for profitable growth either disappear or are recombined with others with which they are redundant. Potential is maintained in the event new initial or environmental conditions appear.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just the sentence right above that paragraph, the last sentence of the first paragraph, he says, the basic pattern in reality dynamics is not geometric, but rather one of process, of becoming, of actualization and evolvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Daniel, what you just read, that's basically explaining how it does that, right?
Mm-hmm. After reading that, I went to Google and looked at fractal images.
Ah, so did I.
Oh, so did I. Yeah, I know.
He said to. He was like, go look it up. You'll get a much better intuitive understanding.
I saw one where it just kept repeating over and over again. I was like, where's this going? Like, okay, where's the trick? And it just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And there is, at one point, he said, if you don't know what fractal is, go and look it up. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I remember the first time I heard that word, it was a time when we were at the park at Rocky Point.
Right.
I
remember talking about fractal.
Remember that? And I said, what is that? I think it was the first time I hear that. And then Daniel said, oh, that's a scientific term. And he showed me, look at the tree, look at the branches, and you showed me right there. And I remember we were sitting right by the ocean.
I remember that day too.
You remember that?
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
So that was in the beginning, the very beginning when we used to meet in person at the park. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because it just stays with you, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like right there,
yeah.
Nature, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the chapter where he's really, I think, put it all together.
Yeah, that was a good chapter.
It was a good chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on first page or go on to the second page?
I don't know why now, but I have all the first paragraph of the second page highlighted. Okay. Oh, he's talking about the consciousness. The same process.
Yeah, that's in the first, the first one is good, the first paragraph of the second page. And then the top sentence of the next paragraph kind of sums it up and says, consciousness, the space-time rule set, and the fundamental process together set the boundaries and define the content and dynamics of our local reality. So I like how he ties it back and he brings up the fundamental process and consciousness again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are his two assumptions, right?
The only two assumptions that he derived the whole theory of everything on.
Yeah.
And then down at the bottom there, the second to last paragraph, the very last two sentences, he says, could the fundamental process be the mother of all fractals? Like, it is an interesting thought. If true, perhaps we can find the father of all fractals as well. And then later, he does mention the father of fractals. Yeah, which is consciousness.
Yeah.
Consciousness is the father of fractals, and the fundamental process or evolution is the mother of all fractals.
Yeah.
Which came first, the father or the mother?
Yeah, exactly. The mother, of course.
Or did it just evolve into its?
I also liked, I have almost all this page highlighted, but I also like when he brought it to a more practical. In the middle of that page, he says, so basically it's 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph, in a more mundane sense, this is also how we humans pursue our daily life, projecting and calculating potential value into all our known options. I mean, we do that all the time. Which one is going to be the more profitable? Choosing the best states of outcome and then progressing those forward to our action and choices, right? Technology, businesses, cities, political or financial empire, complex computer software, capitalist market, corruption, and crabgrass, as well as consciousness and sentient being, all grow, expand, and evolve into the available possibility by an identical process. So I found that really interesting when he brings it back to our reality and how things function in our world, right?
I really like, I'm not sure what page you were on, Nadine, but I really like 737.
I don't know. For me, it's 148. It's the same page that, with Vanessa, with consciousness, the space-time rule set.
It's 7:36.
2 paragraphs down.
Oh, okay.
Did you find it?
Yes. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually on the next, I like the third paragraph of the next page. I had that whole thing kind of highlighted. Beauty and power expressed within elegant simplicity does not appear to you to be the common result of a convergent evolutionary process, a design characteristic of Mother Nature. Absolutely, Occam's razor is based on the truth of it, and most mathematics and natural laws clearly exhibit those characteristics. Mother Nature analytically decomposed exhibits an applied fractal process at the root. Elegant simplicity driving powerful results is the obvious consequence of good design and good programming within TPC.
Now, I don't know where you are.
Oh, okay. I'm on the next page. So I'm on I'm on the third page of the chapter, third paragraph.
Third paragraph, it starts with beauty and power?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
I actually love the whole kind of concept of fractals. Like, I think that it is an amazing metaphor, right? Because it reminds me of like as above, so below, like all these different sort of ideas.
Yeah.
Where, it's like a visual representation or a theoretical representation of that concept that you hear in different disciplines, right? So I think as above, so below is like a religious thing, right? Or God is made in the image of, or man is made in the image of God. Like that's all the same thing, just stated a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the next paragraph after that one, starting in the middle of it, where he says, AUM in Mother Nature cannot help but reflect the fractal property of awesome complexity generated by the recursive application of elegant simplicity, because that is how they themselves are constructed. They work as they are. Elegant simplicity is their secret. Evolving stable and productive complexity. For example, large social systems often fail because they lose the values that must provide a viable foundation for stable and productive evolution. Yeah, I wanted to look at that more, that one, the last sentence. Okay, so for example, large social systems, because that's my jam, right? Is that I want to improve our social system.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, why do they fail? Because if we learn how they fail, we can then find a solution, how to improve it. So he says here, they often fail because they lose the values that must provide a viable foundation for stable and productive evolution. They lose the values. And then in brackets here, when I read it just without the brackets, it made sense. But then when I looked at his brackets, I was like, wait, they lose the values, the rule set or constraints? Those are the values, the rule sets and core constraints. Oh, so is it like how, if it's the constraints, is it how each of us is showing up, like our egos? Like, is that a constraint on our consciousness?
I think it can be. I think when we have a large social system, it's a social system that creates a rule set, right? But what if we, as we're conscious, we have different thoughts towards that, the guidelines, the rules? So what if we don't agree to it? Does that mean
Yeah, and
following the social system, right? So do we veer off and do something else, or do we rebel against it?
mm-hmm. And then like the values, because they lose the values, like the value would be we're connected, we're one, we're here to grow and to evolve together. If we lose sight of that, then we don't have a foundation that will allow us to grow and evolve together. We don't even know the purpose.
Yeah.
Losing sight of that value. You guys have probably heard this before, but I heard it on the weekend and I really liked it. It was there was one guy in the sharing circle, he was talking about how he had this big epiphany, how he's like, you guys are all here and you said like F the law and you came and you showed up and good for you because you need to fight for what's right. And he's like, told his little story, and he actually has a pretty amazing background, but he's like, I'm here to fight for what's right, and you should too, fight for what's right. And then I was kind of thinking like, well, we don't need to fight. It's not about fighting. That's how wars are created. And then the shaman, she actually said to him, you can either, instead of being so aggressive about things, it's not so much taking a side, but it's learning how to take a stand. Take a stand instead of a side. And that really resonated with me because taking a stand is like, I stand for my values. My values are, we are all connected, we are one, and we're here to cooperate and work together. If I take a side, then it's like, oh yeah, this, it has to be this way. And if you're not on side with me, then you're wrong. And then I make other people wrong, right?
Right.
If I take a stand in what I feel is true, then I can see all sides and I can empathize and connect with everybody. I like that. Take a stand, not a side.
Yeah, he was talking based on fear, and the shaman is basically saying the same thing, but more in the freedom side of things.
Yeah. Anything else on that page?
Well, you know, when I'm thinking about what you just said and writing it, take a stand and not a side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking? Take a stand is being true to yourself, to who you are, right? And take a side is an ego-based, because, those people think like me, we all stick together, you guys are bad, we are good. So that's kind of ego. But taking a stand comes from your true nature, what is true for you, right? So it's not necessarily ego-based, and then you have to convince others that they should be like you, and right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense, right?
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the last thing we need is more fighting in this world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because once you start saying, you are either with me, like you hear that, these people will say you are either with me or against me.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want to be against anyone. I don't
Well,
agree with you.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to be against you.
You can be true to your truth, and I can be true to mine, and we don't have to choose sides, right?
We agree to disagree.
We agree to disagree. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But some people find it hard because they just want to bring you to agree with them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's probably some of their fears or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's really a good, it's a short sentence, but it says a lot.
It does, right? Yeah, it really had me thinking. Like,
Mhm.
wow, I've never heard it put that way before, but it is really succinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of impact in that short phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything over on the next page? 738.
Oh, I like the last sentence of the first paragraph. All entities are chips from the old OM block at various levels and forms of being and awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what allows us not to take a stand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
not to take a side.
Yeah, because everybody, is a different, coming from the same place, but they're all in different awareness level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the whole point is for that. The whole point is for us to all be at different levels of awareness, having different experiences. You know, that's why we've decided to create this dualistic reality where we can have different points of views, different experiences, different life packets. We need that for our growth and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when you put it in that light, it's like, why would I try to convince Mao to see it my way? It's like, I need you to see it your way to help us all grow, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why we would try to convince anybody to see it our way? We need these unique perspectives.
Yeah.
That's part of that's
the way I see it is that I have my own awareness, and if I can share you what my awareness is, that may allow you to open up even more to see what it is, and it's up to you to accept what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it, Daniel. Because if I don't agree with you, it will make me reflect and grow from that. Because I would say, well, Daniel said that. What does it mean, and why I'm not agreeing with him? And it would just help me evolve myself, right? That's why sometimes you say, if I'm with people that are totally different and don't agree with me, it's a place for growth for me, right? Because as long as you're with people that are like you, it's a different experience.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why we can learn from any situation if we have intent to want to learn.
You have to allow that to happen, though, right? But I think the ego shows up for many of us where if someone tries to prove us that we're wrong, then we get so defensive and says, well, either show me you're wrong or no, I'm right, you're wrong, right? It's that finger pointing again.
Yeah.
But no one wins there.
No.
Yeah.
Right? But if you allow yourself to hear what the other person says, and then it's up to you to choose whether or not he's wrong, or let me explore it a bit. And by exploring it, if you have an eureka moment, and says, oh yeah, okay, I can see your point of view. Okay, I'll accept it. I'll be part of my reality now. Right?
Yeah.
How we choose to interact and engage with each other. Even during this book club, we were saying our first meeting, or one of our first few meetings when we were talking about fractals. And then we had a member say to me that I was wrong. And then that's for me to look at and feel like, okay, like, how am I going to react to this? You know, do I want to be judgmental, or do I want to justify, or do I want to just accept that he doesn't agree with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found it comical because I was just like, "Whoa, did you say I'm wrong?" Like, yeah, I just thought it was funny.
But it affected you somehow, right?
It did, because me and this one member have a long friendship, and that just made me. We used to date too, so it made me look at our relationship, and now, yeah, I was made wrong a lot, but I put myself in that relationship. Anywho, moving on.
But you know, Vanessa, that's a really excellent point, because that's the way we interpret it. If somebody doesn't agree or tell us that we are wrong, but if you look at it in a different way, like he's expressing his point of view. If I react, it has to do with me.
With me,
Right,
yeah.
Right?
exactly.
And that's the interesting part, because you know, he is who he is, and he expressed feeling at the moment. So why did I take it personally, or did I say, well, he can't say that I'm wrong, I'm never wrong, blah blah, whatever you're telling the story, like make it good, like Daniel said, and say, well, he's entitled to his point of view. I believe in what I said, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and that's an awareness, I guess, that, or an evolution, or whatever it is, of where you were and how you.
Yeah, it made me look at like, wow, yeah, you did that a lot when we were together. You always thought I was wrong. That's the thought that came up for me, and then
Yeah.
that's why I chose to leave the relationship. Is
And you're somewhere else now.
like you're wrong all the time, right? But then that's empowering to be like, well, I feel like what I'm doing is right, and I'm going to choose the path where
He's entitled to his opinion. He has his stand. That's okay. You know, and it's all, you know, how about I think what I'm trying to say, it's about how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It comes down to that.
Always comes back to that. Yeah.
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general. That's the way I feel too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting when, and it's a little bit like take a stand and not a side. He's entitled to his stand.
Right.
And me to mine. I could say, well, maybe you think you're wrong, but I feel that I'm okay with what I said, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Anything else on that page? What are we on? Page 738? I don't know what it is for you, Nadine.
Yeah, sorry, I just have to share this with you. You know what that reminds me? I mean, it's just a mundane thing, but it reminds me someday I wore a really bright lipstick, very reddish, and the person I was meeting said, "Oh my goodness, what is this lipstick? You look like a clown." That's what she said. And normally, I would say, "Oh my goodness!" And then I found myself, and it wasn't like I didn't know how I was going to react, but I didn't find myself angry or upset or anything. I said, "You know what? I don't care what you think. I like it."
There you go.
And then I was surprised even to myself.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? She was honest. That's the way she saw it. But I liked it. I wore it because I liked it. Anyway, I thought I would share that with you because it's about being wrong.
No, that's great. That's great.
But after that, I reflected on it and I said, "Wow, that's good. I think I did react well."
Yeah.
It's just spontaneous, right? Spontaneous conversation. Very superficial, but still,
I don't know if any of you do this, but I do this thing where if somebody like trips, even my kids, like if they're I don't know, if they're walking, they just like trip, I'm like, "Oh, you tripped," and I kind of like laugh because I don't know why. I think it's humorous for some reason. Does anybody else do that?
I
experienced that.
Yeah, I laugh and people don't like it.
Do you think there was an experience or a memory you had that caused that to happen? Now when you see someone trip, you laugh?
I don't know, but I mean, I remember Taryn was saying in one of our sessions, she's like, "Yeah, I do this thing where, if my daughter like gets hurt, then I laugh." I'm like, "I do that too." I'm like, "Everybody does that." She's like, "Really?" She's like, "Oh yeah, everybody does that." Anyway, when I came back from ayahuasca, I went to Freshie. I ordered. Oh, my mom took me to get a pedicure. So I'm wearing these like flip-flops, these disposable flip-flops.
Uh-huh.
And we go into Freshie, and somebody just mopped the floor. And so wearing these really thin flip-flops, I'm like, I go whoosh, and I freaking like almost bail, but then I like catch myself. But and the lady who worked there, 1 second, there's a spider, I'll get it. The lady who worked there was like, she was like started cracking up, but like trying to hide. And for the first time ever, I was like, are you laughing at me? I'm like, I really got hurt there. And I was actually like, yeah, I was on the receiving end of the people I always laugh at.
Right.
And I got to feel what that can feel like for some people. So it's really, I'm wanting to take responsibility for my unconscious behaviors that can actually really hurt people, and not just go off automatic response, and be really aware of, I don't want to laugh at them if that's going to hurt them, right?
Right.
Anyway.
But I wonder why we have this reaction. Is like, I was wondering, is it because you don't know how to react? Like, you know,
I think I'm unconscious often. I just kind of just am the way I am, and I don't really catch myself. And now that I'm aware of how that feels, I'm going to be a lot more mindful in the moment if I see somebody laugh or see somebody fall. And instead of laughing at them, offer them a helping hand, right? Yeah. But continue back at the book on page 738. There's a spider in my office that I have to go. I have
Anything else on 738 or?
What's her name, Vanessa?
What's your name? They want to know your name. What's your name? Nala. Her name's Nala. She's being shy.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go rescue this spider.
Anything else on 738?
Yeah.
What about the next page then? 739.
I do have almost the 1, 2, like the third full paragraph. An evolving, complex, interactive system of consciousness is necessarily implemented as a process fractal because consciousness can only interact with itself. Consciousness acting upon consciousness, pulling itself up by its own bootstraps through the replication of a simple process applied recursively at all available levels and scales, where each new layer is built upon the previous one.
Yeah, I had that highlighted as well.
So do you know why? That reminds me of Westworld. Anytime he says bootstrap, Westworld. Which I'm very excited about. It starts on, did you see the new advertisements?
I have not seen it.
They're on Facebook. You got to look them up.
Really?
So good. Yeah.
So Christine, I couldn't find where you were. So which paragraph on that page again?
It's the 1, 2, 3rd full paragraph. It's like the second to last paragraph, and it starts an evolving complex.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Thanks. Yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, that whole thing where each new layer is built upon the previous one. A lot of this makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because, you know, like in previous chapters, he's talking about making choices, right? And so you make a choice, and then, like we were talking about the unactualized database, right? Last week. So like if you make one choice, and then you have all these different options, right? And so he's talking about basically evolution, and if we even look at like technology, one thing, kind of like your example, Daniel, you have Morse code, and then you have a telephone and a video camera and a cell phone, all those things that just builds upon the previous layer.
Right.
Hey, you guys, I just had a really good idea.
Okay.
I was just sitting here listening and thinking about questions, and then I thought, you know how awesome it would be if we did one of these with Tom on the call, so we could like ask him some of these for clarity around what he wrote.
Sure.
We should ask him to do our final session with us. So he can come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I never thought to
Mhm.
ask him, but yeah. Because we've been working on this for almost, we devote a lot of time to this. I think he would be more than happy to do
I
it.
think we're probably the only group that's gone through the whole book, right?
Yeah, I don't think there are any other MBT book clubs in the world.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. So I'll ask him. And then what we should start doing now is start collecting questions for him that we want to gain more clarity around.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you remember? Does anybody remember when we started the book club?
Was it?
I know I didn't come on board until a few weeks after you guys, but I remember it was summer.
Daniel and I were the only.
I probably have it written down somewhere, but I'm gonna say May, June of last year.
Yeah. Because it was
I joined a bit later, but you were still going to Rocky Point, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was May.
Maybe May, eh? So May 2017?
So we'll finish it.
Probably
it takes about a year, yeah. It takes a year to go through all this.
Wow. By the time we'll be finished, we'll be close to that, right?
And then we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this paragraph, I'm thinking about awareness. So for consciousness, we have to be aware of the specific situation within that state of consciousness. And that allows us to be more creative, and that allows us to step up to another level of consciousness and then another level of consciousness. I think that's what he's referring to here, right? And only when we can become aware of that situation, of our surroundings, environment, can then we create another level of consciousness for us to evolve.
Right? Yeah. And that's the building up, right?
And that's his fractals.
One
about his fractals, right?
Yeah. That's the building up part. Yeah.
Right. I've got to go watch Westworld trailer 2 now.
There's a couple out now.
Are there?
They just released another one yesterday.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Does it matter if we haven't seen the first one? Does it matter?
No, you have to watch it.
You have to watch it. I'll send you the Vanessa or Nadine. I'll send you the link. I've got it on my on the cloud somewhere, so you can.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. But you do absolutely. Otherwise, you won't understand.
You'll want to watch it. When you watch it, you want to continue to watch. You want to watch all the episodes.
Okay. But it might take a long time. That's the problem.
But you'll enjoy it so much. You can relate. Okay, I can see how this sort of relates with what Tom is talking about.
Oh,
Get a visual view of what he's talking about. So it's really cool.
Daniel, could you send the link through the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I'll put the link on there. I think there's 12 episodes, I think, or something like that.
Of an hour each?
12.
Yeah, they're about an hour each. Actually, I've got it right here.
Okay, so what are we on here? Page 740?
And I think as soon as you, I don't know, I was just thinking about that right now. But as soon as you build an awareness and then you build on it, doesn't it seem to become easier? Like it's as if the first ones are harder, and then as you become more aware, it's easier to build upon the levels, or it depends, I guess. It seems like, when you start, when you're not aware at all, and then the awareness starts, it's hard after that not to continue, and it becomes easier in a way.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a breakthrough door that you went through, and then.
Yeah, you know what? I think I don't know. I don't remember if Tom mentioned in book 2 that it was easier, but I kind of remember that for sure it is exponential. So it's probably, and I don't know if it gets easier each time you become more and more aware, but it becomes like exponential. That every time you become more aware, more conscious, the next time it's like an accelerated process.
Oh, he said that? Tom said that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and I don't remember if he mentioned that it's easier I don't remember that, but the good news is that you become more and more conscious, not in a linear way, but in an exponential way.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that sounds like good news.
Yeah.
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 It's
It's
very good news.
easier to get.
Sorry, Vanessa, go ahead.
Oh no, he did say it's easier to get rid of your fears. Like after you get rid of one, then you notice that the next one's easier, and then easier and easier.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, so that's because it's the same thing. Then when we started this group, and we started becoming more aware, and it gets more and more as we go, through the chapters. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first ones are always the hardest, right?
Yeah. I'm still feeling like I really want to go through it again though. From like next year, I feel like I'll be at an even completely new level of awareness, and it'll be like reading a whole new book, and I'll be like, I didn't see that the first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it will be a totally different understanding of where we are now.
Totally different. Yeah.
Because that is just the first time we're exposed to it. So
Yeah.
there's so much in there.
There's so much. Okay, so did you guys have anything on this page 740? I had lots highlighted there. So, what did you guys have? The second paragraph, the last sentence, understanding the close connection between process fractals and ecosystems will eventually allow us to optimize our social, economic, cultural, organizational, and technological creations and institutions.
I had that highlighted as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's really important. And that, like I said, next year when I have a whole new level of awareness, I'll be able to understand that even more so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The close connection between process fractals and ecosystems. Yeah, because even like process fractals, I mean, like I get it. Okay, yeah, the whole is contained within each part, and it just keeps evolving by creating more parts of the whole. That's kind of like my limited understanding, but I think I need to have a more in-depth understanding of it so I can make that connection between the fractals and the ecosystems. Like I get how, yeah, anyway, so I think this is all really important, but I feel like I'm just kind of touching it and like I need to go deeper, but I'm not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The second paragraph, the paragraph after that, the very last sentence, he says, a better understanding of fractal ecosystems and the fractal nature of our reality will help create and define order within chaos.
Mm-hmm. I had that too. I think my understanding, like if you take a social system or economic system, it's like what Christine was saying before, is once you find something that works and you build upon it, it gets more and more orderly, right? When you start a system, there's always growing pain type of thing because it's new. But as you refine your system and you get rid of what doesn't work and you only keep the results that are positive and you build upon them, then you end up with more order and less chaotic. Like you know what I mean? So that's I understand it, and that's the way you lower the entropy of the whole system.
Yeah, and they talk about that in like when you're doing development or when you're helping organizations be more cohesive. It's Daniel, you might be familiar with this. It's like the forming, storming, norming.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the new, like you're trying to form these new ideas, and a lot of people they resist it, and that's the storming stage. There's like a big storm. It's like too chaotic. But then as you integrate it, people slowly become more familiar and comfortable with it, and then it becomes the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
exactly.
Like
yeah, I think that's what my understanding of it. Yeah.
I don't know. The next paragraph, he says, to see the picture that I'm painting, one must expand their concepts of energy and evolution and realize that digital energy is not resource limited or limited to mass and field, and that evolution is a fundamental process that applies to all self-modifying complex systems. Yeah, I think that the key there is to understand that it's not resource limited. And so many people talk about like abundance and there's like infinite potential, but I mean, it's true to some extent, not the infinite part, but the abundance part is true, that there's so much, but we have this kind of lacking mentality that there's not enough to go around, and then that creates greed, and again, that comes from materialism. Right? Mm-hmm. But we're changing our understanding. We're opening our minds to new possibilities. So that's a positive. Mm-hmm. Did you guys have anything? I had the next two paragraphs highlighted. Did you guys have anything from the next two?
I just have last paragraph, the first sentence. To summarize, evolution defines the fundamental process. Process factors define the primary construction mechanism, and ecology defines the interactive structure of profitability.
That's what I have to, the same thing.
Yeah, it comes down to profitability, right? What's meaningful, I guess, for consciousness to expand, to grow.
Yeah. And then when he said the techies in the audience, discovering the science of applied ecological fractal, the big picture approach to complex interactive system analysis. So I'm waiting for those people to do that. Yeah. I am not technical, so.
I was thinking that too, Nadine, and then I heard this thing one time where it's like, somebody should do something about that. And then I realized I am somebody, you know, like, I don't know. I had that, but before that paragraph, just above it, I had that paragraph where it starts, once the fundamental process is better understood, it will become clear that we are surrounded by many critically important evolving systems that all follow the same simple process. Similarly, once the fractal nature of evolving systems is better understood, chaos will melt away into manageable and profitable processes. Furthermore, once the ecological model of evolving systems is better understood, human activities can become more efficient, cooperative, and productive on an even greater and ever greater scale. Yeah, so then that makes me, or inspires me, to want to understand the fundamental process more, as well as the ecological model of evolving systems. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I want our human activities to be more cooperative and loving and compassionate. And I want to try, you know, approaching it from a different angle. So maybe by understanding the ecological model more will help to reach, it will help, I think, reach an audience that doesn't already get it, you know, because there's so many people who already get it. Like I can have these beautiful conversations with Christians and spiritual people, but they already get it. So it's like communicating, and Tom's talked about this too, communicating to the kind of the left brain people, because the left brain people are the ones who are the movers and the shakers.
Right.
Get things happening, make things happen here. So it's reaching them, right? And I think if we take this angle, we'll be a lot more likely to reach them.
But you know, Vanessa, they are in a sense, because there is this guy, I forgot his name, who wrote that book about all the people that are, you know, the top CEO, all the names of people who have created things and are really leaders in the world. And they all had, I don't know, I have to find the name of that guy. So he did interviews all those people, and he found they all have something in common. And what they have in common is they have a practice of either focusing, meditation, mindfulness. They all had that. Like we're talking about the Warren Buffetts. Big. I don't remember all the people he interviewed, but there are big, like you said, people who shakes the world and make things happen. And they all, and he discovered, because I think the title of his book is what is common between those successful people, like what are their strategies. And they all said that they find during their day a time, whether they call it meditation or reflection or inner work or, and that helps them be who they are. So it was really interesting. I have to find out. And his book was a bestseller for a little while, because you don't expect that for people that are very technical, that are very business oriented, so it was really.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Those people, they understand that. But, well, look at somebody like Oprah, right? She's very successful, but she's a very spiritual also person. So I don't know. There is kind of something happening here, I think.
Yeah, it's becoming a lot more mainstream.
Yes, yeah, I think so. But maybe this is not what they share about themselves. Those people necessarily. Like they're not on TV talking about their meditation practice, right? So nobody really knows about it unless you read or,
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess it's really being inclusive of everyone, left-brained and right-brained. It was really fascinating to me because within the same week, I found myself sitting in an ayahuasca circle, and then a few days later, sitting in a circle with like 2 different mayors and like local business owners. And I was like, and I remember sitting in the political circle being like, whoa, a couple of days ago, I was sitting in an ayahuasca circle, and this is so different, but yet so similar in a sense that, we're all kind of just these beings that are really just trying to understand and grow. And I'd have scissors in the office. But anyway, it was just neat.
We're in the office.
Up on the top, baby.
No,
Oh, go in that pink bag over there. Sorry. Because they're in there. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. It's
okay.
Great.
I think what you were just describing there was kind of cool, because you were in the political system and then you were in the ayahuasca system, but they're all part of this larger system altogether, right?
We're all part of this larger system, yeah.
And, sometimes I wonder if it's not the language, the vocabulary that we use that makes us look a little bit different, right? But at the essence, the spirit is the same. You know what I mean? And that's what makes us the same and connected. But we use a different language, whether we are left brain or right brain, right? Like people talk about different things.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, like they would say abundance and unlimited potential and whatever. And on the left brain side, then they're talking about resources, right? So just the vocabulary is different, but really what the vision is the same. But I find that sometimes the vocabulary is so much out there for people that are not left brain that it becomes a little bit too much for the left brain people. It's a vocabulary sometimes issue, but if you put those two people without this vocabulary together, they will have so much more in common.
It's interesting how you say that, because when I think it was only last 3-4 months, just listening to how people talk and the words they use, you can figure out if they're left-brained or right-brained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We use different words, right? Yeah. And also it's because of your, what you have learned, right? When you go to technical school or when you go to engineering, it's totally different than if you go to psychology or humanities, right? The vocabulary is so different. So you use the vocabulary you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Describe a reality that may be the same, but we're both using different words, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it creates an artificial barrier, really, right? Those words, in a sense, if we don't go beyond them.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is very interesting. It is. I want to bring it back just because we have 10 minutes left.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
It went so fast.
It did. Yeah. So anything on 741? Next page over. Nothing on that page?
Well, he said, just the second paragraph, the first sentence, rudimentary process fractal are already being applied to scientists investigating social and cultural dynamics in an effort to understand patterns of crime, ethnic segregation, etc. So I think that's good because it brings those kind of people together.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of the third paragraph, that's what he said. If you aren't familiar with fractals, go look them up and find out what they are. So that was an incentive to, I want to make sure I understand this fractal thing here.
Yeah.
I like the last sentence on 741. You are a sentient entity designed primarily to evolve the quality of your being, quality of your consciousness, because that is what one does in a consciousness evolution fractal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
That
the
is so good.
paragraph there underlined. He goes on to say, that is the pattern of which you are a part. What else could you do as an individuated consciousness evolution pattern subset existing within a consciousness evolution fractal? Trying to do anything else, trying to break out of the pattern is futile. You are the pattern. The pattern is you. It is how you are defined. If you are unaware of this fact, you may be missing the point of your existence. You may be spending your time and energy in ways that are not important to your evolution, to your larger purpose within the larger reality. You are what you are. There is no point trying or wishing to be something else. You might as well learn how to play the game that you're in. There is no other game. And if you get good at it, it is more enjoyable and more fun. Hanging out clueless in the middle of the playing field while others are fully engaged, having a blast and making progress is a sad waste of your opportunity and of your potential. Yeah.
Wow, that was powerful.
That was
really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I loved that.
Yeah.
And then the next paragraph, the very last sentence, he says, the larger reality provides the opportunity for personal growth, the possibility of being all that you can be, and more than you ever thought possible. More than you ever thought possible. And that ties in again to the imagination. That's important for us to use our imagination.
Right.
I don't know. That's when this kind of anxiety you were talking about, Vanessa. When you say I want to be there, but right now, I mean, I can't wait to be there. But again, we have to go through our own path and little by little, as Tom says. But yes, with this kind of paragraphs is when one thinks I can't wait to be there.
You can't wait to be like
reading that part or reading that section?
No, like in that all other possibilities and being more than you ever thought possible. For example, that's what I was talking about. What could that be? What could it be? A lot more than I am right now. A lot more than I cannot even imagine what it is. And that's when I think I want to see it. I want to be there.
I think the possibilities are endless. You just gotta be imaginative and create it, and let your thoughts flow. And right,
yeah.
Only you know what that is, right? Based on your level of consciousness. Experiences.
And also appreciating what we have right now. I feel like that's the gateway towards being open to more and experiencing more, is appreciating, being grateful for what we have right in front of us, right before us. Like, this is a beautiful place to be, where we are with each other, and you know, having these concepts that are kind of like given to us, and that we can all speak the same language and share in this experience together. That's really powerful. That helps us to expedite our growth and put us on the fast track, right?
Well, yeah, sure. Sure.
The last sentence in the next paragraph, I think I really like. We are provided the opportunity to apply the pattern of evolution to ourselves as an integral part of a larger process.
Yeah, I have that too. And the few sentences before it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. The next page over.
Well, the best part for me was the first paragraph, and I wrote, it's a summary. I wrote a note for myself that it is a summary. I don't know if someone wants to read it, but it's the whole paragraph where I find he really summarizes.
I've got the highlight as well.
You have it too? You have it? Yeah, we all do, right? Because it's really very, I don't know who wants to read it.
Yeah, go ahead, Nadine.
No, it's too long for me. I don't feel like it. Yeah.
You, both the physical and non-physical you, are one small individual part that constrains the essence, the pattern of the whole, an evolving, individually conscious piece of the larger evolving consciousness. You repetitively apply the fundamental process of evolution to yourself as you interact with your internal and external environments. You do the process does you. Mm-hmm. You are a creator that exhibits, uses, and manipulates the evolution of consciousness, and you are the result of that same process at both the non-physical and physical levels. The fundamental process provides the dynamic principle that builds the structure, while consciousness provides the medium, the content, the fundamental energy, and organizational potential that the process works upon. At the core is elegant simplicity, the hallmark of big truth.
Beautiful.
That is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Can you just imagine for a second if we have read that at the very beginning of the book? Nobody would know what is this all about. And
I don't think any of us would be continuing to read the book.
No, but I mean, it's like what Vanessa here said, appreciating where we are now. Because if I read that way before reading that book and all this discussion that we had, I would never know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to work
we
your
have
way
come
into it.
a really long way, and I think it's a good thing to kind of recognize that, right?
So that means we've evolved.
Yeah. We have evolved. We have evolved. Yeah.
Hey, you guys, we started a little bit late. Are we okay to go 15 minutes later?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's okay with me, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so we'll
no
wrap
problem.
up at 2:45. Okay, perfect.
We're almost done.
Yeah, we're almost. The next sentence after that one, no doubt there is much left to do and much left to understand. Nevertheless, is it not remarkable that one simple process and one simple energy form are all that is required to produce all that is? So again, evolution in consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But that there is still a lot more to do and to understand. Like, we don't just stop there. We keep exploring and expanding our awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also it takes time, right? Look, it's almost a year. So I think, like Mao was saying, is, you can't rush this. We can't rush it because it really takes time to experience it, right?
Yeah.
Not just an intellectual thing, but,
Yeah.
So it takes time.
Yeah. I don't know. I had that whole paragraph I had starred beside it because it really does. He's like, everything is answered based on these two assumptions. Like, can you not believe that? It's awesome. And then the very end of this page, he's like, but none of what we scientists have worked so hard and long to understand has been discarded. It's only relegated to a subset of a larger, more comprehensive understanding. You, I, and the dog next door are of one consciousness, one source, one connected evolutionary pattern. Nevertheless, every level of existence has its own mission and purpose. We sentient beings in our system have our mission, our reason, and purpose for being. And we all know what that purpose
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I have all this paragraph, that mission required and all the rest, yeah.
And then I just laughed at his little aside there where he's like,
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's funny there.
The other joke that I find that he made in the middle, where the paragraph that starts with progress is measured only by result, and you are in charge. You cannot bribe, cheat, fake out, or hustle the system. There is no spiritual welfare system.
Yeah.
That was another funny.
Yes.
Yeah. There are no shortcuts, but he said that before, but it's the first time that he uses spiritual welfare system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I like the sentence after that too. You have to do it 100% yourself, and your friends, connections, and cash cannot help you. Excuses earn 0 credit, irrespective of how well justified they are. Only results earn credit.
Yeah, I really like that one too. You guys are getting ahead of me, but right after the aside, that first paragraph, I like that too, where he says, improving the quality of consciousness, advancing the quality and depth of awareness, understanding your nature and purpose, maturation of soul, manifesting universal unconditional love, letting go of fear, and eliminating ego, desire, wants, needs, or preconceived notions. These are the attributes and the results of a successfully evolving consciousness. So it's beautiful because it's like those are all the benefits when you know your purpose and you're on your mission, you're on your path towards evolving. Like what more could we ever ask for? Yeah, what more could you ask for? Like that's amazing. All those things. To let go of fear, and I mean that's what Buddhism talks about. Is like let go of your desires, let go of your wants. But to start there, it can be difficult. I think it's helpful, at least I found for myself, it's helpful to really gain an understanding of the nature of reality and purpose. And then that's a good starting point to then start evolving and growing. And then as a byproduct, all these other things just happen. You know, my fear starts to go away, my desires, my needs, my wants, those kind of fall off as I evolve my consciousness.
Yeah.
The very last sentence too, or the second to last sentence, I loved it, where he was like, I think if you think that you may have gained some new knowledge or insight in the process of comparing big toes with me, I must remind you that with knowledge comes responsibility. I thought you would want to know. Yeah. With knowledge comes responsibility. It's true. Yeah.
What do you think he means by that?
Well, for me, it's interesting that you say that because when I did that interview with him, I remember like connecting with. That was the first time him and I had sat down and had such a thorough discussion. Like I've never sat down. It's always been other people around, so so I really got to open up. And what I shared with him was, you know, Tom, you've helped me so much. You have been such a mentor and a guide. And now I feel like I have a responsibility to give back and to help others. So I think it's like that piece. It's like when you know better, you're responsible. You have this responsibility to do better, to be better, to give back. Yeah.
To pay it forward.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very welcomed responsibility, I feel. But I can see how a lot of people, they don't want responsibility. I remember when I used to manage a bar back in my 20s, but I asked somebody there, one of the waiters, I was like, hey, do you want to come on as the assistant manager? I think, you know, he's like, no, I don't want that responsibility. No way. I just want to do my thing and like play and, you know, because I don't know, some people shy away from that. They don't want to take on more responsibility. They're just having fun where they are. And and that's okay. And not to make them wrong, right?
Yeah, that's okay. So,
yeah. Anyway. Okay, last chapter is only 3 pages.
Wow.
This was a fun chapter.
I like the title of it.
Yeah, do you want to read it?
It says, "Hail, hardy readers! Thou hast completed non-physical mechanics 101."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the second paragraph on the first page. I had hearts beside it. I don't know. Okay, so he says, now that you understand big picture evolutionary process of improving the quality of your consciousness by making choices based on right motivation, simple things such as the point of your existence and the meaning of life should be obvious. You should, by this point in our journey, have a good idea of where you came from, where you are going, where you need to go, and how to get started on the journey to get there. Hopefully, you will remember not to confuse reality with the model of reality.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And why do you think that's important, not to confuse reality with the model of reality?
Oh, well, reality can only be experienced, while the model is related with knowledge or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to
So,
put it.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah.
I would also say that that's a reminder to remember the big picture, right? To kind of not get caught up in the small stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah. Or whatever description we make of the experience is a model. It's not reality itself, because you cannot not describe it. You can just experience it. So every time we want to describe the experience, that's a model. Whatever it is, it's just like a representation of the real thing, right?
Yeah.
Say that again. No, sorry, my daughter was playing the music to that. Can you say that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just reinforcing the point that, as I understand it, is that every time we want to describe the experience, which is reality, we are making a model, a representation.
Mhm.
Yeah, even the my big toe is a representation,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you cannot describe whatever reality is. You can just experience it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he means, because the way you describe it now, it makes sense. Because is he talking about being like at the being level? You know, when he talked about that, not being in your head or something, and being at the being level. I think that's what Mel is talking about now.
Oh,
It's
yeah, and I think it's, yeah, definitely.
you know, feeling it basically, and not making it up in your head.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, definitely related with that, as I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the being level, you can just experience things, but every time you want to describe what you are experiencing, then you are making a model, a representation.
That's a good way
Something
to
like
put
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, well.
Really good way to put it. Thank you.
No,
Awesome.
thank you.
Oh, okay. The next paragraph, the last sentence, he says, by having almost completed this trilogy, you have proved yourself to possess uncommon fortitude, strength, and courage, as well as plenty of extra time.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that page?
No.
Next page over.
I had the last sentence of the second paragraph. Oh, no, the third paragraph
Yeah.
highlighted. Unfortunately, many readers find at this
Yeah.
point that they need to read section 2, 3, 4, and 5 again to pull it all together in their heads. I kind of laughed when I read that.
Yeah. I liked the rest of that too. He says, at first reading, the introduction of so many new and unusual concepts keeps your head spinning and often causes philosophical discombobulation existential confusion, metaphysical vertigo, as well as belief trap withdrawals.
I don't know what discombobulation means.
Oh, that's one of my favorite words. I love that word. It's like disoriented. It's just
Yeah.
fancy way.
Disoriented. Okay, I've never heard of it.
My master coach uses that word all the time.
Is he like created that word, or that word
No,
exists?
it's a real word. It's like
Yeah.
I feel discombobulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then the next one, the next paragraph, he's in the middle there. He says, we almost never retake a course because we are in too big a hurry to begin struggling through the next one, right? Rather than fully grasping what's here right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always wanting more and more and more, but needing to appreciate what we have right here and really get a thorough understanding of it before moving on to the next step. That was for me. Sorry, but I need to know that. Anything else on that page there?
Well, you know, I like when he said in the next paragraph, the section 6 that we are going, you're moving to, is a short wrap up that will help you put what you have been exposed to into a more personal and balanced perspective. So I'm really looking forward to see what he means by that. So for me, it means it's not going to be technical, but I don't know.
We'll see, right?
Yeah, we'll see, exactly. So it really kind of, it made me curious, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on that page or from the aside?
Nope.
Yeah, that's just when he was joking around about the belly button grazing, right?
Yeah, the belly button.
Yeah.
What is the belly button thing? It's here? Where is it?
It's in the aside. It's the bottom of the page there.
Oh.
Yeah. Where he's like, at the very least, if you can think of nothing else to say about this material, you can change the subject by firmly asserting the undisputable fact that during meditation, your big toe is always easier to see than your navel.
What is a navel?
A belly button.
Belly button.
Ah, okay.
And then at the end of the aside, he's like, but don't tell anybody I told you. He's like, because if it is found out that I have let this secret slip, ancient disembodied Tibetan warriors will come to the front of my bed at night and tickle my feet. Oh, Tommy. The next paragraph, though, he says there, we will regroup at the beginning of section 6 in the morning, where you will receive your final set of briefings before going off on your own into whatever reality you have thus far created for yourself. So again, bringing it back to, we're making this up. We're each making up our own reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Daniel says, let's make it a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a little bit further down in that same paragraph, he says, the most significant questions for you to ponder are, just how real are you really? How aware are you of awareness? And how large a larger reality can you stand to understand? Yeah. So it's like, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Well,
We're done. Section 5.
Done section 5. Yes. Section 6 next week. The end is always the beginning. Today is the first day of the rest of your existence. What did we want to read? How many pages are there?
Well, we'll see how long are the chapters. There's an introduction, which is very short.
775.
Maybe 3?
Yeah, do you want to go up to stop at chapter 91, Traveling in Good Company?
Wait just a second here, I have to find out.
That's 30, almost 30 pages there, right?
Oh, is that too much?
I don't know.
We can try. If we don't make it, we can stop before, right?
Yeah, just stop. We'll try to go up to 91. If we don't make it, we don't make it. But I have a feeling it's going to be pretty light compared to what we just went through.
I don't think
that's
I don't
fine.
think there'll be anything technical, right?
Yeah.
So the last chapter, because for me it's a different number. So the last chapter that we read is the significance of insignificance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
like
chapter
that.
90, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have the same feeling too that it's going to be lighter, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so closing circle. Daniel, you want to start? Any final thoughts or insights you want to share?
You just want to thank you everyone for showing up. I think it's just allowed us to create more awareness for ourselves. I think that's the key. Is you know, Vanessa, you and I, I think we're the only two that really stuck through the whole thing, and look where we are with this. It's wonderful. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Nadine?
Oh yeah, sure. Exactly what Daniel said. You know, it has been a tremendous journey, this group for me, and you know, I thank you all. And every time, including today, discussion was really, really great. A lot to take in and to experience. Like we were talking, go out in the world and experience it now. You know, just make it real.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Christine?
I enjoyed all the chapters. I thought it was really interesting, and I love the conversation regarding the fractals. I think that is a metaphor that I definitely understand and helps me clarify things. So it's good.
Awesome. And Mal?
Yeah, no, just say thank you guys. This experience with this group itself is great. It's absolutely great. I love it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I love hearing your take and your views on this material. Just as I love hearing everybody's perspective, it really helps me get a better understanding. I love this group. This is a lot of fun, and thank you so much. I can't wait till next Friday.
Sure.
What time do you want to do next Friday? Same time, 12:30?
Yeah, does that work for you guys? 12:30?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, you too.
Yes.
Bye, guys.